Welcome to today's explainer. Look, tackling Swedish grammar can make a lot of beginners feel a little overwhelmed. But when it comes to today's topic, I want to tell you right from the start. Seriously, do not worry. We're going to crack the code of the Swedish future tense together, and you're going to see just how simple and honestly how fun it actually is.
Okay, let's dive into this. Did you know the surprisingly cool fact that Swedish verbs actually don't have a specific future suffix? There's no magical ending you add to a word to automatically shoot it into the future. It's true. Instead, it's a lot like a fun puzzle that we're going to solve right now by just putting a few key vocabulary pieces together.
To keep things super clear, here is our game plan for today. We'll discover the Swedish future, look at using the present for the future, planning with ska and tänker, predicting with kommer att, comparing ska and kommer att, and finally, practicing to avoid mistakes. Just 4 structural keys and a couple of practical tips, and you've totally got this.
Let's start with Section 1, Discovering the Swedish Future.
The absolute foundational rule here is that native speakers use auxiliary verbs, or they simply borrow the present tense and throw in a time marker to travel to the future. The structure you choose depends entirely on how certain the event is, if it's scheduled, and most importantly, how much control you personally have over it.
Section 2. Using the present for the future.
Here is some really great news. You can absolutely use the present tense to talk about the future. You use this for fixed schedules, timetables, or highly certain plans. Here's a great little memory trick for you. If you can circle the event on a physical calendar or point to it on a printed schedule, you can use the present tense. Just remember, you absolutely must include a clear future time marker for this trick to work.
Think about these scenarios. Tomorrow's train schedule is already completely locked in by the station, right? The departure is an inevitable fact, so we just use the present tense. Or if you've already bought your flight tickets and the plan is totally locked in for Friday, you can comfortably use the present tense for that future trip.
Now, what's really interesting here is a crucial trap that so many learners fall into. If you forget that time marker, you are trapped in the present. If you just say, "Jag åker till Stockholm," a Swedish person is going to think you are literally sitting in the car driving right now. To make it a future plan, you absolutely must add the time, like på fredag on Friday. Do not forget that time key.
Moving on to Section 3, Planning with skadra and tänker.
The word ska is your ultimate tool for strong willpower. You use ska plus an infinitive verb when you have a clear personal plan or a determined goal. It essentially means that the subject, whether that's you or someone else, has total control, the capability, and the absolute determination to make the event happen.
You can really feel the energy and determination here. I am going to start the gym next month. This isn't just loose talk. You are 100% committed. Or the national team is determined to win the match. When you use ska, your statement becomes incredibly powerful. It shows absolute, undeniable dedication to the goal.
So what about tänker? Well, literally, tänker means to think. So when we use it for the future, it represents a new idea that's just sort of forming in your mind. You intend to do something, but it isn't locked in like ska. It's a lot more internal, flexible, and maybe a little spontaneous. Here is a super relatable, everyday example. You're exhausted from work, and you're thinking you just intend to stay home and watch a movie tonight. You haven't made a formal schedule, you haven't forced yourself, it's just a spontaneous, personal thought. It's pretty easy to distinguish from skaya, right?
Section 4. Predicting with kommer att.
Now this is where kommer att really shines. You use this specific phrase to talk about completely objective events. You are making a forecast based on evidence. And here is the most critical point. This event is entirely outside of human control. You literally cannot schedule it or change it.
So the crucial point is you can't use your personal willpower to control the weather or the economy. If the forecast says it's going to snow heavily this weekend, that is just an objective reality. Or maybe a new law will inevitably impact the economy. These are consequences we can only observe and predict, not control.
Section 5, The Ultimate Showdown, Comparing ska and kommer att.
And this brilliantly illustrates why knowing the difference is absolutely vital. Mixing these two up can lead to some hilarious situations. If you say "jag ska bli pappa" using ska, the listener hears a subjective intention. You are actively planning to become a father, maybe going through the adoption process. But if you say "jag kommer att bli pappa," well, congratulations, your partner is already pregnant. It is an objective biological reality happening regardless of your willpower. Picking the wrong word completely changes the story you're telling.
Finally, Section 6. Practice and avoiding mistakes. I want to give you one extremely important survival tip for the real world. In everyday conversation, Swedes speak fast. The phrase kommer is often shortened, or they drop the at entirely, saying something like det kommer regna instead of the full formal version. Knowing this is a real game changer for your listening skills. But a sincere piece of advice, in formal writing, business emails, or taking an exam, always remember to keep the at.
Okay, let's do a rapid recap. First, if you want to borrow the present tense for the future, never forget your time marker. Second, ska is all about your willpower and control, while kommer is for objective facts that are totally out of your hands. And third, tänker is just for when an idea is sprouting in your mind. See? It's completely logical. You can totally do this.
But remember, grammar only truly becomes yours when you actively apply it. Practice really does make perfect. So are you ready to conquer the Swedish future tense? Don't hesitate. Click the quiz link right below this explainer to test out your newly learned skills. We'll see you next time for another fascinating topic.